purpose for us to discuss today is to understand at what stage brands should think about adopting to these these strategies, and what does it takes to apply those initiatives successfully to their brands, in their respective fields. So just to quote some number, what the new stores have suggested is the customer retention increases by 91% if you have omnichannel strategy. They tend to remember your brand better. It also helps them discover and distinguish your brand from the other brands in the clutter, right? Because it's an experience at the end of the day, what a customer remembers, a consumer remembers. So what exactly can you do? So in terms of omni-channel, so for example, Nykaa and Pepperfry are one of the best examples who have invested heavily when it comes to omni-channel strategy in the last 2 years, and they have seen astounding results in terms of in terms of revenue growth. So Nykaa, for example, have increased their revenue by 108% after implementing omnichannel strategies, and Pepperfry has 46% increase in revenue just after 2021. Uh, so it does indicate clearly that omnichannel strategies are important, and more brands are going towards it. But at what point? So I want to open this discussion with this very simple question of, is there any memorable in-store experiences that you remember when it comes to omnichannel, which you think that the brand should adopt? So I can start with Ranjan Aapse.
Thanks, Ranjan here. So I think the most important factor when we talk about omni-channel is, I'm sure we will all be at different stages of the journey of omni-channel, and omni-channel would mean different for different organizations. But if you ask me honestly from my organization's perspective and for fashion brands perspective, uh, the one of the biggest challenge that you start uh, working on is, yeah, and especially in the fast fashion space, because you do not have high depths. You have very limited opportunity to have everything available everywhere, which means that you will tend to have scarcities, you will tend to have cut sizes, you will tend to have color options missing at places. Uh, and on the other hand, you have pressure of delivering to a customer faster. On the other hand, you have challenges like your sell-through problems that you already grapple with. You have leftover issues that you have in your stores, which means fashion, specifically if you look at, normally we'll have close to about anywhere around between 15 to 20% is what you have as a leftover from a season. What do you do with that merchandise? How do you reduce that? That's a big question that we always trying to grapple with and find answers to. The biggest commitment or the biggest investment also that we have is around the inventory, which means that you have to sweat your inventory better. You have to leverage your inventory better wherever it is. Either it's in your store, it's in your distribution center, or maybe at some point of time even with your partners. What stops me from selling a product for which I do not have inventory, maybe in my store or in my own distribution center, but I have it with one of my partners who could be sitting somewhere in extreme northeast, and I have a customer who needs that product. How can I possibly deliver to him? I think that's where the whole essence of omnichannel started evolving, and that's where I think we've been trying to cater to that journey in terms of saying, how do I, uh, and it's more of a selfish need in terms of optimizing our inventory. It's more of our need than the customer's need to be able to deliver faster. It's more around that. It's more about optimizing the investments that we made into the inventory and the product that is lying somewhere or the other, and you will not find a color or a size which could be missing from a store, missing from some other place, and there's already a customer who is asking for a product. Either he or she is in your store, or she is in your any of your commerce journeys, and the commerce journeys could be anything. It could be a social commerce, conversational commerce, e-commerce, whatever it is, wherever it is. You've got to bring them all together and help the customer to be able to, one, help in terms of becoming discoverable. Then the second is about being, how do you cater to the need of the customer in terms of after the discovery process? How do you help the customer to buy the product? And then the post-purchase, the entire journey of the post-purchase in terms of how do you help the customer do everything and anything that the customer would need from a post-purchase. So I think That's where this whole space starts playing a role in a much, much bigger form. But I think it's evolving from the old need of optimizing your inventory, optimizing, getting a better sell-through, being able to sell your products faster and be able to replace them with newer products. That's the primary essence which has given birth to all of this that we're calling omnichannel. It's just a medium to be able to sell your products and also be able to improve your customer experience and improve retention. That's the key thing, because you're also talking a lot about retaining a customer.
No, makes sense completely. So, in a nutshell, it's in an essence, it's around you want to have a center inventory, obviously, because that helps you to make your product discover better in different regions for your customers at the end of the day, right? On that same term, I mean, I had one very specific question for Metro. For example, return in store. Now, this is another strategy that many companies are trying to adopt to. Does it make sense in India context? Do you think is it something that retailers should adopt, or it has a downside? What do you think?
Hi. So the way I look at it is it's both pros and its cons, right? Uh, in retail, a lot of the returns happen on account of fitment issues or post-purchase dissonance in terms of color, in terms of style. Right? Advantage of having returns at store, okay? And there are two variants of that. One where the material comes to the store, so you save on logistics, right? If you're able to optimize that. But more importantly, if you can get the person who bought it to come to your store, it's a tremendous opportunity to upsell, cross-sell, and ensure that the rupee that had been earned is upgraded, if I may say so, right? However, a lot depends on what kind of breadth of reach, physical presence is there, right? So it may not be the right fitment for every retailer, right? But for those who have pan-India presence, right, it's an opportunity, and how one leverages it determines the success, right?
Right, right.
Thank you.
That's a very nice answer. So, from House of Anita Dongre, so for example, return to store or endless aisle, so does this strategy, so for example, I was doing some research and I realized that Pepperfry, for example, doesn't do return in store and endless aisle. However, you have Nike on the other hand who does that. So, do you think that plays a role in terms of retailer in the fashion industry specifically, of you want to give more option to the customer, because there are conversations where if you give more options, they tend to not buy it as well. So, does it make sense?
Yeah, we give option both. We give option in the omni-channel, like we give it directly goes to the warehouse, because we need to do the QC of the product because I can't directly sell to the another customer. Same if it comes to store also, we keep it aside, we do the QC, and if it's sellable, then it goes. Otherwise, we send it back to the warehouse. Otherwise, if it's sellable, then we give a exchange if they buy some exchange product, and whatever color size they want. So we are given both the option. You can buy it from the store also, or we have kept a tab over there so they can select another from the catalog, and that gets delivered the very next day to their place. That's all.
So, it's a mix of both.
Yes, it's a mix of both. It's hybrid.
So, you would have any take on this? I mean, on return to store probably, because see, at the end of the day, these are omnichannel models, right? How brands adopt to it, or what success factor does it have on the brand, on the success of the engagement, is dependent entirely on how it is implemented and how well it is catered to. So, what is your take on these strategies of, let's say, BOPACE or BOPAC and other different models?
So this omni-channel as a concept, as per my understanding, right, it's to give a similar customer experience across all your touch points, right? So a company can have multiple channels of selling their products. So it could be online, via your own website, or via marketplaces, or via multi-brand outlets, which is distribution, right? Or via, if you say, your own set of stores, which are called EBOs, right? Now, an omni-channel brand will try to deliver the same experience, same product quality, same everything similar to a customer who is buying you from each of these touch points, right? I see a lot of brands playing channel strategies these days, and very few people actually focusing on omni-channel experience throughout. So omni-channel players, what I come across quite strongly are, say, someone like a Lenskart or say Carrot Lane, for example, right? Very similar experiences. In fact, you can buy in store from an online from their own website, etc. Right? So I think it's up to a company to decide their approach to whether they want to play it the channel way or they whether to play it the omni-channel way, right? And I think there are merits and demerits to each of them. You can decide the product portfolio or the pricing strategy as per what their requirement is. The omni-channel term should not be loosely used because you are selling online and offline both, and therefore you are saying I'm an omni-channel brand. I think that's what I want to comment largely.
It does make sense because there's a thin line of difference between multi-channel and omni-channel. And I guess most of the brands are multi-channel, but aspiring omni-channel is a very different thing. So, Pradeep, what's your take on multi-channel, let's say, an omni-channel, and how do you foresee it? Let's say with Zouk.
I think I kind of agree with everybody what they said. Right? I think we could look at it across sort of 2-3 lenses. One is around what the customer experience is all about. I think the customer still wants the same experience whether online or offline. Right? Offline first, so there were certain expectations they had, right? Especially around footwear, for example. They want to try the footwear out, comfort, etc. Right? Online has maybe forced offline also to say any return, exchange. You have to be a little bit more liberal on that front, right? So I think there are customer experience matters which I think have to be uniform. When it comes to sort of the assortment, because one is sort of what product portfolio sits in EBO, modern trade, GT versus own website versus Myntra, etc. is a very, very different beast, right? In terms of what sits where, what pricing, channel conflict, etc. So I always look at it as 2 different lenses. The experience still has to be same, right? It has to be seamless. I mean, these days we are so used to 1-click or 2-3 click checkouts. You can't have a long queue in billing, etc. Right? But the product assortment can be very different, and it's very interesting. Like even like a brand like Puma does a very interesting job. Like 2,980 crores revenue, 44% online sales, right? And channel assortment is so different, and they're available in Shopper Stop as well, and then they have a massive store right next to it as well, and you can find them on Myntra so easily, right? So I think experience is one thing, right? And then the product portfolio is another thing, and that's when you can decide what you want to offer where. And I think that's a function of I think many brands take it as a function of unit economics first approach, right? I think for Anita Dongre, it allows the product to go back to warehouse and QC. At Zouk, I'll get a heart attack saying, yaar, ye kyun kar rahe, right? And then at some point, we'll figure out, ye to karna hi padega, right? So I think that is a unit economics factor. And then you layer in a factor of what the customer expects in terms of the experience. So that's how I look at it. Customer experience one and product portfolio another.
I mean, so with omni-channel, there are few conversations that I had in the past is what is the right stage? So for example, GMV could be one where let's say the brand is above 100 crore and now they want to break that ceiling and have more personalized experiences across touch points. So not just the order fulfillment part, but the experiences as well. So they want to invest more in Omni, but that's just one element to look at a GMV, because at the end of the day, in order to break that, it's a chicken and egg situation. You have to be Omni to break that ceiling, or you have to first increase your revenue and then go Omni, because it's a considerable amount of investment, not just in terms of cost, but time and effort from the company to go Omni. So what's your take on, Ayush, on what are the key elements that a brand should consider? So obviously GMV could be one, but let's say other elements before taking a step towards Omni.
Hi. So basically I'm from Ellementry, which is a home and a lifestyle brand. We deal in handcrafted homeware products, imbibed with culture, with a core promise to make your everyday beautiful. We deal in multiple categories like kitchenware, serveware, dinnerware. So thanks, Vipul. By adding to your question, first of all, I'd like to talk about omni-channel. and then I'll get to what are the steps and what stage of the business should we plan. I'll talk about my stage of the business, Elementary's GMV stage of the business. So for omni-channel, I'd like to say one thing, that as per Nielsen's research regarding hypermarket consumer business, a customer usually goes out 11 times a month to shop, and a loyal customer purchases twice from a preferred brand. And the ambition for us retailers should be that that we are able to tap into the wallet share of that particular customer on those 9 instances when he is wishing to buy from a brand serving a particular category. So I feel that, as everyone here has said, can be possible through omni-channel, because I feel omni-channel helps us to understand the customer better, and if we are able to understand the customer better, we'll be able to serve him better. This is needless to say that the brand loyalty goes up, and in omni-channel there is of course speedy delivery, because you're able to serve your customer via the shortest route and the shortest distance. So your logistics cost goes down, your transportation costs go down, your revenue increases because you're repeatedly tapping into that customer and into his wallet share. So this is my take on omni-channel. So I think I'm pretty much as much convinced as everyone here that omni-channel is the way to go when you want to scale up from 25 CR to probably upwards. Now, when we should do it? So I feel, considering Elementary, I feel BOPIS is the correct model for us, because buying online and picking up from store for someone like us makes sense, because I'm into an experiential category wherein the customer still wants to touch and feel the plate, ki kitna bhari hai, edges to smooth hai na, my masi, my mami, my dadi, everyone wants to wear the product ki kahin bhai ji isko tod to nahi denge na. So I would say I want to get into BOPIS, but for me BOPIS will make sense the day my number of stores goes up. Once I have deeply penetrated into a particular geography, then its efficiency and its viability, as per me, makes much more sense. And secondly, I need to have a consistency in terms of inventory across all my channels. And this, of course, has to be backed with technology. We need an efficient inventory system, which is tracking the crucial data points like how much inventory is being dispatched, how much inventory is being GRN'd, kitna return ho raha hai, nahi ho raha hai. And my backend needs to be vertically integrated. My supply chain points need to be in sync. Then only mera demand forecasting ho payega. Then only if this plays in loop and everyone talks to everyone, I think BOPIS and omni-channel is possible. So this is what I want to share as per my stage of the business, that these are the 2 things which will make sense before getting into BOPIS actually.
Makes sense. I mean, at the end of the day, it's your inventory, your GMV, and the geography. Technically, these 3 elements has to be in place. Let's say that is one opinion on before you switch to or before you start investing in omnichannel strategy, right? So, Piyush, आपके brand के point of view, what do you think? Does it make sense? Or you want to add on top of it? Okay, these are the 3 key levers. Let's say geography, your GMV, and your inventory.
Hi, my name is Shweta. I'm from a footwear brand called Payo. So, agreed, like what he said is obviously most important is that you have to have your inventory aligned, right? You can't just sell online and you can't have a particular product available online, not have it at your store, or the other way around. Especially when you have maybe some of your bestseller products. The touch points, the kind of communication that you have has to be consistent across all channels. So whether it is social media that you're doing, or whether it is that you're selling on your website, or you're selling via e-commerce platforms, or directly via your store, right? So the touch points have to be consistent. Your sales people have to be aware of the kind of offers that are there on the website. They cannot be unaware of what is happening. One particular brand that actually I I think that has mastered omni-channel would be Sephora. Right, so they have a bunch of online tutorials. So Sephora is obviously a makeup brand, right? And they have multiple brands under their hood. And they have these tutorials that teach customers how to apply a particular type of makeup. Now, you can learn online, but if you actually visit their store, they have this ability, they have this option rather, where you can use, they have testers for every single product. Not only that, every single salesperson knows how to do the particular makeup technique. So they have ensured that everything is in sync across their channels. So it's not that they're offering a particular thing online, but the same is not offline. So that's something that I think is really important when a brand shifts to omni-channel. And in touch of like, with respect to purchase, when you can shop online and purchase at your store, I think even if you have a standalone store, or even if you're a smaller brand, like for example, like Payo, right? We have our major audience is in Mumbai. So we do have the flexibility to offer our customers in Mumbai to shop online and come and pick it up. It's not necessary, I mean, I understand that somebody from Delhi would probably not be able to purchase it, but our customers in the location that we have the store, they do have the option to come try the shoes and purchase that plus maybe something more that they're liking.
Definitely, it does make sense. I mean, in terms of Liberty Shoes, what? So there's one more concept when it comes to Omni, is same-day delivery. Where you turn your stores into mini fulfillment center. So what's your take as a brand on that strategy, or probably some other strategy that you think is best for brands?
So I think what everybody is speaking is absolutely right in their own brand journey. As far as Liberty is concerned, we need to differentiate a little bit between the online customer and the offline customer, very specifically because online is very driven by discount and a lower price point, and in retail, looking at the current expenditure, we try and sell a higher average selling price so that ATV is different of online versus offline. While our effort is to keep on learning on the omni-channel, give customer the same experience, but market dynamics don't really permit us to have complete similar merchandising. So I think we are working more on a strategy whereby there could be about 30% lines focused on pure, I would say online, 30% on pure online, and about 30% which are common. So that we are able to address the customer as per their need, because India is such a large country. There are enough customers who are discount seekers, and online it is considered normal. But as far as your brick and mortar store is concerned, I don't think so. We want to encourage that as a discount store all the time. And they all come with different valuations. So we want to work more on omni-channel experience because the online penetration and your digital commerce is really increasing. At the same time, learn by the day and implement by the day the way consumer is progressing.
Definitely, it does make sense. So Siddharth, on the same day delivery, do you, I mean, what's your take on it? Do you think it should be more promoted by brands, or is it too much Omni?
No, absolutely. I mean, it again depends on what kind of experience do you want to give to your consumers. We at Snitch have piloted now in Bangalore in the Karnataka region, and it's paid off. We're seeing higher retention now in terms of customer experience, and the returns are really low. The RTO percentage is almost zero there. But again, I mean, you'll have to strategize it in a better way. We are just doing that for our prepaid orders currently and not on the COD. But we're planning to implement try and buy too now. At least in Bangalore, we're tying up with Dunzo and doing a lot of things there. I think, I mean, the simplest thing for me is consumer. So whatever makes my customer happy, I will do that.
So on that point itself, at the end of the day, the omnichannel revolves around customer first, right? I mean, what exactly they want and which touch point they want to discount your product or buy your product. Now, another strategy of the Omni is to give Omni offers, rewards, loyalty. So I buy online, I get rewards which I can redeem offline. So Shopper Stop is a very good example of that. or even your Starbucks is a good example of how they have implemented loyalty, which basically at the end of the day improves your retention over a period of time. Now, so the reason, one of the reason is to understand at what stage does it make sense, because see, at the end of the day, the infrastructure required to implement all this is huge, right? So as a Casio, what do you think it makes sense, or what is the time when a brand should start investing, in offers like this, omni offers?
Sure. Yeah, hi. Thank you. So, see, I am into e-commerce for a couple of years now. It's more than a decade. And into multiple companies, omnichannel first started off as an idea, which was just to sync up your offline and online, two different channels together. That was just an idea way back, 10 years back, right? Even when the e-commerce itself was a, very, very nascent stage. And I myself had tried implementing omnichannel a couple of years before, and it failed, because at that point in time, even the technology was not there. And also, it was not just brand's journey, but the customer's journey also. Post-COVID, right, a lot of customers, even who would never would have gone to online, were forced to go there, right? But again, the old habits don't die. They went back to malls again. So now the customers are there in malls, but they're also on their mobile, right? So when they're looking at the product physically, they're also checking it online, right? Sometimes they also check the product online from the perspective of checking the features, because they are easily, written in a very well structured manner. They can absorb all the information there. Sometimes they are also looking for offers. I would not deny that. Now, and from the brand perspective, the journey is basically, if you have your offline, in place, and obviously everybody's offline is in place other than the companies which are, just the online companies and which are making their offline presence now. But I'm talking from the legacy brand perspective, like a Casio. Offline was the first channel for any customer, right? And then online had come in, and it's, they started evolving it as a channel. So the journey is also internal, because you cannot implement a good omni-channel strategy if your channel conflict is internal, right? If you are a brand which owns the inventory in online and also in offline, it's quite easy, right? You can float the same offers, you can keep the same display. But for a Casio like a brand, we work via distributors. We also are in MRT, and we are in D2C, right? Our own website. But we also work with e-commerce. So there are multifaceted, aspect to this question on how would you implement it? What is the right time? I think first is to internally you have to see, would you be able to implement it also? Because what are you planning to do via omni-channel strategy? Is it just customer centric, or you want to improve your business? Are you planning to get the business from online to offline? Are you planning to get the business offline to online? Mostly companies get conflicted there itself. So first is to educate your internal, I would say, team, right? That it's actually customer centric. It has nothing to do with increasing your business. Business is anyways going to happen, whether it's going to happen online or offline. But the customer, because the touch points are, now in, when the customer, as I was giving an example, the customer is everywhere at the same time, right? If even the customer, like we sell watches, but we also sell musical instruments, right? Which are, keyboards, pianos. Now for a product like a watch, it is still okay, because you can look at a 2D image, and sometimes now the 3D models are also coming in online. But would still want to go offline and try it out. But would you get that inventory nearby your store? Can you really on your website see which store that inventory is available for you to go and check it out? Similarly, for a product line like musical instruments, right? It is actually a very difficult decision beyond a certain price point to make that decision sitting in, in your house, saying that, okay, I'm going to buy a piano worth 50,000 bucks, right? Just by looking at it, because there's nothing much to look at it, right? But then you would want to go offline and just test it out. But where would you go? Would you get that product, right? It's not like a mobile which is available everywhere. So I think the journey is more internal first, right? Customers are there. They are looking for the touch points. They are looking for the similar experience online and offline. But internally, are you ready to give that experience? Yes. And are your distributors, because distributors are owning the inventory, are they okay for the customers to start, because there are distributors who are selling online. Are they okay for you to go and, take the customer from online to offline? So how do you educate them? how do you get them on board? Because when customer goes offline, they can talk anything about what is selling online is not good, it's not, it's fake. So customers can say anything. The front staff can say anything because the front staff is from the distributor, and distributor wants to sell today. It has nothing to do with your strategy. So how do you get these together? I think that was the biggest challenge that we first sorted. And once that was done, then it's about, marketing takes over, and then, you create the similar experience. You have similar products which are on display in your website, or, you will have similar products which are brand focused products, whether it's a MRT or whether it's a marketplace, whether it's your own EBO, or, whether it's on all the marketplaces. So then that's an easy part, to be honest. Yeah.
So once your internal alignment is done, execution is a follow through. So it's not that difficult, right? I mean, that's what in essence we are saying. So Dipti, in your experience, if you have to decide, let's say tomorrow you want to go Omni, what is the key initiative that you would want for your brand to take?
Yeah, hi everyone. I'm Dipti from Attire. It's a women's wear, formal wear brand. So yeah, to your question, I think everyone's covered most of the points here, and like many of them pointed out, consumer is the key. So for us, we have already started the omni-channel journey. We've already implementing systems in the back end, to make this happen. And I think again for us, it was from the customer. She'll buy online. She'll say that. She'll say that I want to, can I go to your store and return? And in fact, we like something like that because like you said, and actually she cuts a much higher bill when she's in store. When she goes to return that one product for say 28.50, she'll end up purchasing whatever, 5 times bigger bill, And there is no probability, there is no return after that. In-store purchase is 0 return. So that's one advantage. So we had customers, incoming requests is something that sort of triggered us. One is the incoming request, and secondly, seeing, I think somebody had covered the point about large amounts of inventory. So I think seeing that unsold inventory was another big trigger for us to sort of get this activated so that we can start optimizing on that also. I think another point that's I think it's spoken about the assortment. Now, what happens with the assortment, especially in fashion, is that so I guess it's everywhere. But so our catalog online would be thousands of products, but in store you can keep only so many styles. And a lot of times she'll be like, "Oh, I want to try this. It's not in store." So this becomes a little challenging in terms of keeping that assortment problem is a real problem. She actually comes to a store to try a particular product and we may not have it, and she'll show pictures of it. So then what we try to do is we try to place the order for her via the store itself. So yeah, those are the, I guess, points. And I guess to your question, I guess I don't know if there is a exact metric that you have to get to omnichannel, but I guess it's your own internal triggers that you think that okay, now it's time for me to kick off the omnichannel strategy.
It does make sense. And to your point of click and collect or BOPIS model, there's a good statistic where it says that roughly around 50% of the customer who basically go to a store to collect something end up buying a second product. The average order value is much more higher, and I think the challenge over there is to have more inventory managed across your different touch points. So what's your take on the BOPIS or any other model that we have discussed so far?
Hi, I'm Supriya. I'm the founder of Foray. We are a PETA-approved vegan and a sustainable brand. So we make jewelry and accessories for men and for women from plant-based materials like cork and banana. So for us, we are a value-based product and we are largely online. 100% of our product is sold only on our website. Now for us, the journey that has been is because we are introducing innovative materials. It's also about finding who our real customer is, where do they reside before transcending to other horizons and saying what strategy really works for us. And the discovery, the kind of identity that we've created with customers, we have a one-on-one relationship with almost all our customers today. So that is helping us, get more repeats. It's also helping us reduce our returns and exchanges in that case. And with this insight, we are able to launch far more products easily, faster, because it's a online space. So until and unless an order is placed, you're not really catering to something which, considering an innovative material, it would have been a very big issue. So these are some of the things that has helped us. But time and again, we've got a lot of customers asking us about, how they would like to experience the product in person. But again, like it was rightly highlighted before, that yes, the internal team construct has to be strong enough, and your entire value chain has to be built to cater to creating an omni-channel proposition. And that's when I believe that as a brand, we would want to take that step ahead. It's every brand and every stage of everybody's journey where they can determine how they would want to go. At the end of the day, I would really say omni-channel is simply put creating the same customer experience and going where your customer is.
It does make sense. Now, so another one last point that I wanted to cover in terms of Omni is your store inventories. Now, there are times when the customer wants to go to the store, but they are very skeptical of whether I will be able to find a product which I already decided to go and see. As brands, what are your takes? Is it something which is just a good to have feature? Is it something that is need to have feature for brands? So I wanted to take a quick yes or no or comment on it. We'll start.
So I think this will all depend upon the category and the product that you are selling, and a lot is dependent upon how do you want to engage with your customer. Click and collect it's gone beyond the click and collect, and it has gone to a level where people don't want to even enter your store or in the mall as well, and they would want to just pick up the product and leave. So there are different journeys which have evolved, and every brand will have a different strategy depending on the category that they are dealing with. Obviously, we all agree that getting a customer to a store is always the best thing to do, because by far you can give him the best experience in a store, because the store is more of an experience center for all of us. That's where you put most of your money in terms of engaging and helping a customer to be able to identify a product, go through his entire purchase journey. And today's customer, whatever we say, there's a large amount of customers who actually need help and support in whatever they're buying. And hence, we obviously, at least from our perspective, all our brands, we are very, very keen in terms of taking that step towards getting a customer back to a store in whichever way and whichever means we can, because we have a large distribution network as well, with all our stores are spread across the country. So hence we are able to cover up a large geography, and most of the cities, larger cities where we have our customers, we are available. So hence it becomes much more imperative for us to be able to enable that journey and get the customer to the store.
And just a follow-up question to that is one cool in-store experience that you remember apart from your brand. Any brand that you can name where you remember that experience, buying experience with any brand.
So I think one of the even before when omni-channel or these endless aisles things started coming up, one of the stores, I would not name the brand, I went to a store and I had to travel that same evening and I needed something. It was not available in that store, and the store guys ensured that they pick up from another store in that same city and they delivered to me at home, so that I could carry it during my travel, and I needed that badly actually. And that's an experience where technology today, and it was a very rudimentary way of doing it, because somebody actually called up the other store, looked up in the inventory, checked if they had the product, and then somebody picked up the product from that store, took a cab, dropped it at my house. A very, very difficult way to deal with that. But I think that's the customer-centric approach that's critical. That's the reason why you keep going back to that store, because they've taken that extra effort to help you when you needed a product, or you needed a service, or you needed a support. That's what technology is all going to enable. Many more things beyond this.
Wonderful story. So your experience on any one experience that you remember of Omni or any shopping experience, good or bad, honestly, share any.
So before XYXX, I was working with Madura. right? And while not an experience, this is something that we used to drive quite uh, with a very focused approach in our stores. It was collecting feedback from customers who haven't shopped from your store, right? And I think that used to give us so much insight about why they didn't shop, end up shopping. Could be inventory related, could be any other store environment, VM, staff related, anything, right? So I think that's something while driving it and getting the feedback from customers helped me improve the store experience altogether, right? And at times when the store guys used to crib about मेरे पास inventory ये नहीं है, X नहीं है, Y नहीं है, I used to tell them please collect feedback from the customer. Once it reaches the HO, they'll automatically realize that this is what the consumer is looking for, right? So without me telling you, automatically that will happen. So I think tech in a way plays a very important role in relaying feedback from the consumer directly to the backend, and if that is utilized effectively, I think it can improve the customer experience, which we all want to do. So I think that's quite good.
Makes sense. Pradeep, your
Yeah, I think the one I recall most recent is my wife purchased from H&M, and I think H&M keeps arriving at home and then she's buying from there as well. So I wonder why so much is being bought. And then I realized there, right, at the billing counter, the person said, "Itne points hain aapke paas, but there's something more that you have." So they had integrated everything, right? I mean, online purchase, offline purchase. So he stopped buying from Myntra, by the way, right? H&M, you open Myntra, H&M is right there on top, right? And if somebody from H&M is there, kudos to you on that, right? But still bought from the own website, which means commissions got saved, whatever, right? And then those points are getting accumulated at the store, and then the person is making sure you get the maximum value right there at that point, right? And then we went for a business trip to Bangalore, and we bought from H&M even over there. Within sort of those 2 hours that we had a meeting, उसमें भी H&M से लिया हमने कुछ, right? So it's just that much brand love that got generated, and she didn't have to say anything. I understood right there and then why she's going back to that brand so much. And this is beyond good selection, pricing, etc., right? So.
Well, I'll just speak from my brand perspective because, like I said, we talk a lot to the customers. So there is a lot of insight that we get from the customers. And some of the things that we really love is that we are talking about a plant-based materials like cork and banana from which we are making really stylish products. And it's that aha moment that the customer has when they see the product because they do not believe that it is made from a plant-based material. And those are the insights that, push us to do something better. So there is this one lady who bought from us, and usually when we were talking about customer segments, we always spoke about 25 to 50. This is a lady who is 62 years old, and she is one of the industrialist wife in India. She bought our product, and then she kept buying and so we started communicating, understanding like what went there, and then we realized that cork is an hypoallergenic material. It is helpful for senior citizens because it does not, create any metal allergies. Plus, all our jewelry comes with magnetic locks. Again, an insight that, it helps senior citizens wear the product easier and better. And these are some of the insights that also helped us target a different kind of an audience. It also helped us to narrow down to how our products can really enhance not just the functionality, but also the overall experience that a customer is buying into.
So, your experience any experience that you remember?
I mean, there have been many, right? Lenskart is the best example in terms of the entire Omni experience and the kind of the language of the brand is just distributed beautifully across all platforms. Again, like he said, H&M. I mean. They've built the brand very beautifully. The customer experience across is amazing. In terms of loyalty, I feel Starbucks is the best example. Domino's, again, in the food industry. So I think there are different strategies for different brands, but everything is, middled around one thing, and that's your consumer. So I think if you understand them, and just build that strategy around or maybe a web around them, they're never going to leave you.
Makes sense. Your experience?
So this is with another homegrown jewelry brand actually. They recently, not recently, it's about a couple of years back, they launched their store in one of the malls and I visited the store and I was really confused about the pieces that they had and what I wanted to purchase. So I didn't end up buying anything at the point, but the sales lady, she ended up taking my number and the marketing team got in touch with me a day later and said, you had visited, what was the confusion that you had? So I said, I wasn't sure about this and I was buying a gift for somebody else. And they said that, are you free this weekend? We'll actually come by with a couple of products. We'll come over to your house and we'll show you everything. So I said, that's amazing. So I actually ended up calling 2-3 additional people that, they're going to come. Why do you want something from the brand? So they came with about 50 pieces at my house and 5 of my friends and all of us just splurged, right? Because they were right there, any kind of changes that we want, they were open to doing it. So they're of course the smaller brand, but they had the flexibility and they were willing to make these changes. And the personalization aspect of it was something that I loved, and which is what then we tried to implement at our brand. Being a footwear brand, whenever somebody rang us online and said that, I'm confused about my size, if they were based in the city, we actually contacted them and said that, why don't we come across, where we'll come over with multiple products, and then instead of one, they would select 7 products that they wanted to try, and then they would end up buying 4 out of them.
Yeah. Your experience on any...
I hear great insights from brands, and it is absolutely amazing what all we are doing to delight the customer. At the same time, I think we need to be a little cautious about setting some unrealistic expectations, from the brands. Something like what I was hearing, and if we start encouraging people to just keep on moving out and do such kind of an experience at a mass level, somehow it can set up a very unrealistic expectations, like what we have set up on cash on delivery to no return policy. While nowhere I'm trying to say that we should not be consumer centric, but at the same time setting up some very unrealistic expectations would also kill some long term business and the margin model, because at the end of the day India is a very value centric country and we need to deliver at the best price, and whatever experience we start enhancing, somehow when I look at even the returns data, which ranges from 20 to 30%, and the amount of, QC, and I just heard that you were doing like a complete QC, and it's a huge process and a cost where the average selling prices are just about 1,000. And I think the amount of cost which is incurred to please the customer, I think we need to have some kind of a reality check and get customers experience as well as some cautions to not go unrealistic.
Speak with an experience. It makes sense. It does make sense.
I think there are plenty of examples that a lot of people have covered, especially brands like H&M and all, and the loyalty program, it's phenomenal. So with Zara, so many other brands. But I think one thing that I remember is just after lockdown, a few months after lockdown, when actually the fear was gone and things were kind of open, not open, I had shopped from this sort of luxury brand in like a few years ago, and they gave me a call. And how are you, ma'am? And if there is anything we can, I think then shopping had just sort of opened, the mood was better. So it was quite surprising that this database of so many years, they had that database and they were tapping into it and calling and checking if I would want to do some home shopping. So that is something that I remember of that brand.
2 incidents that have a pleasant memory in my mind. One was within our stores only, where I had procured a footwear, right? So normally you also check the piece, it gets checked before being given to you. And when he went to the cashier found a defect, right? And he said, look, I'll give you another. So I asked him, "Kyun? Kya ho gaya?" Then he said, "Look sir, aisa hai." So that's what I'm doing. Second was with an primary online offline brand called Cars24, wherein I bought a vehicle from them post purchase. They called me for feedback, so I gave them a rating of 6. So they asked me what was the reason. I gave them the reason. They went back, they did the remediation, then they called me again, "Sir, abhi kya rating hai aapka?" So then it went to 8. So then they asked me, they were kind enough to ask. So normally you take feedback and say, we will look at it, in aggregate it, we'll do our analysis and get back to you. They were insistent. So then they asked me, so what will make you give us a rating of
8 to 10?
The best rating? So I told them, मैं तो life में अभी नहीं दूंगा. First time होता तो देता, but you do this and I'll get it. So they went ahead, they did everything that's required and came back. So how you handle post-purchase dissonance is a human phenomenon, right? You can't do away with it, right? But how you handle it, determines whether you lose a customer forever. It becomes an ego issue, right, for humans, right? Or you have a loyal customer base. Thank you.
I had a similar experience what Ranjan had. It's the same experience what he said. That after sales service, what rating you give and the feedback you get back, that's crucial. So like what she had, as our company, we do the same thing. We share the catalog. There are regular customers who come and all of a sudden they stop coming to stores and we call up them. And we come to know that the person, like if she's pregnant or something, then we send the catalog, we send the goods, products to their house, and then they buy it. So most of the time we found they buy it. And that's where it's a customer service, it's a customer experience which we.
So for you, let's say as a consumer, would shopping experience, pre-shopping experience or post experience?
Both is required.
But if you have to choose one, let's say if you want
No,
to
you can't choose one because customer is a god. You have to choose. Both is required.
Both is important.
Yes.
But post adds to it definitely, right? Post is a cherry on the
Yeah.
So I can give an example from my own brand like Casio, as I've shared with you earlier also. Casio is known for making keyboards, calculators, and then we are also having watches. Within watch, we have around 7-8 brands. We have, we have these dress watches, metal analog watches, but we also have a brand called G-Shock, which makes absolutely tough watches. You can just wear it and, do marathons, go swimming, do everything. Now, we wanted to do a mall activity just to showcase what G-Shock really stands for, how sturdy is the product, and we were doing some event there, and we understood that there are customers, in D2C we have customer data, we have customer data from our EBOs, right, and our retail as well. So we collected all that data from the customers which had interacted with brand, have bought calculators, have bought musical instruments and other metal watches, and then because this was a mall activity, we identified the pin codes which were relevant to this activity, and then we did a geocentric marketing to them, which was a digital marketing, but we could bring the crowd, the relevant crowd, to the mall, right, where the event was happening. Because normally when you do an event, right, you're just you are basically in your mind you're thinking, okay, maybe I'll get so many footfalls, but would they really be interested in your activity? Are they really looking for a watch? Have they ever interacted with your brand, right? But if you bring in the crowd which has already interacted with your brand in any manner, any product, and if you can bring that crowd to the mall activity, the kind of engagement that happens there, and also because in that mall we had our EBO as well as we were selling through MRT, right? The conversions during that day was really, really good. So I think within omnichannel, how you use the data centrally, right, bring it together, and then with your current technology, you can really go at a very pin code specific digital marketing and bring the relevant crowd, because everybody's looking at Gen Z, right? And they are online. So they are on their mobiles, they are on social media, but they also go to malls. So I think that is where the beauty of omnichannel is. You can also use your data in a very good manner and make the offline activities also, the ROI is really good. Yeah.
Makes sense.
So one experience that I'd like to share with you is related to this brand called Rosso Brunello. So essentially I'd gone to a Rosso Brunello store at CP and I'd ordered one shoe, which was probably the last piece in that particular store. And मैंने कहा था मुझे शाम को send it to my house because since I'm traveling right now, so I won't be able to carry it with me. In the evening, the store manager calls me up and says कि by mistake the store staff has billed it to someone else. So I said कि मतलब even I had done the billing and it was done, everything was done. He just had to dispatch it to me, but due to some error or something, they had billed it to another customer also. But the point being, they were so gracious enough to tell me that now we don't have that particular last piece here in Delhi. we have one piece in Guwahati warehouse. So they made sure within 48 hours they got me that shoe from Guwahati warehouse. Matlab the point being कि as everyone has beautifully concluded it and summarized it, that follow your customer. So essentially that brand made sure that 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 I don't be an unhappy customer. I think it's time now, so I should stop talking.
Now, on a closing note, I guess if I were to summarize, it makes sense that when we speak about Omni, it's always around the customer delight and experience at the end of the day. Obviously, we have to take it with a pinch of salt of not setting up wrong expectations with the customer. Because at the end, yeah, it makes sense for business because at the end of the day, profitability is important as well. You know, at what cost the delight will come is something that the brand needs to also consider. However, it is one of the important element to give that sort of experience to customer so that the brand can stand out, you know, deliver and distinguish between the crowd as more and more brands are in the market, you know. And thank you all for joining the roundtable. We got some gifts, so give me 1 minute and I'll arrange for it.